Table of values. A table of values summarizes information collected during a survey. It puts the raw data in a form of order. So, the best way to go through this is to look at an example. Let's say that we had raw data that was given. So let's look at this example. We have the question being, what is your favorite ice cream? If we look at the legend, we can see that the raw data has meaning. So S is strawberry, V is vanilla, C is chocolate, O is other. Now, what is shown here in the raw data table is not a table of values. This is just the answers that have been given people put in a symbol form. What we want to do is make some sense out of this raw data to put it in an order that makes sense and that helps us understand. So we're going to start our table of values. So the first thing we need is a title. So we're going to put favorite ice cream, just so that we know what our table is about. The first column, and we're going to have many, so you can extend it out. The first column is the values column. Okay, so here is where we write what values we have for our survey: strawberry, vanilla, chocolate, and other. So we can put these values into our table. Strawberry, and this is all the way across. That's the title line. Then we have our values: strawberry, vanilla, chocolate, and other. Also, we're going to put a total, and that'll be the last bar. So the value is the first part. Now we can make what is called a tally chart. So a tally chart is not a required column in the table of values, but it can help when you're trying to create the frequency table or table of values, because it helps you count in an easier way. For example, if I was going to do strawberry, I might go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I might lose count. But if I just went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it would be easier. Instead of crossing it out in the data, I can take that same concept and do it in the tally column. So for strawberries, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we put a line across. It could be diagonal or it could be straight to show that there's a set of 5, which will make it be easier to count later. 6. So if I was going to do vanilla now, you can count up and down, or you can go across as long as you stay consistent in whatever way you're counting. So vanilla, 1, 2, 3, 4. Chocolate, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and other, 1, 2. The next column in our table of values or chart is the frequency. So the frequency, I'm going to put a little star here and put it down here. The frequency is the number of times the value appears in the data. So basically, it's just the number that goes with the tally that we have in the tally chart. So 5 plus 1 is 6, 4, 5 plus 3 is 8, 2. And if we counted all these lines, we'd have 20 lines, and here it should add up to the same. 10 and 10 is 20, so we have our totals. The next column is relative frequency. Okay, and I'm going to just put it over here. The relative frequency is the ratio of the frequency to the total number of values, or to make it even easier, the percent. Okay, so the ratio of the frequency, so in the case of strawberry, the frequency is 6 to the total number of values, so that's 20. Okay, so this is a fraction, so if it's easier for you to see like this, 6 over 20, you know how to do percents, pop it into your calculator, put it over 100, either way, this will give you 30%. 4 over 20 will give me 20%. 8 over 20 will give 40%. And 2 over 20 will give 10%. Now, if you've calculated all of this properly, your percent should equal to close to 100 over 100, or 100%, or if you do it in decimals, 1. Sometimes it'll be a little bit off because you've had to round, and that's totally okay. So, something to consider. The value, when you're looking for your variable, could be a number as well. Consider the data below. In this raw data, the question is how many people live in your house, and you have the selection 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2. So we can construct our table of values as we did before. But in this case, the value could be represented in different ways because they're numbers. So I could have a category that's less than 2, and then I could have 2, I could have 3, 4, 5, greater than 5, and then of course at the bottom I have my total. Now, you could just do the values that you have. Sometimes, depending on the question, it will be important to have less than or greater than because you don't want to have too many values if you have to graph it later, or maybe those are of less interest, so you're lumping them all together. So now I can have my frequency. Now, you could do the tallies if you want. Absolutely, you can always do the tallies if it makes it easier for you. In this case, there's not that much data, and so I'm not going to do the tally chart. I would do it if there was more. In this case, I don't have anything under 2, so my frequency is 0, and it is perfectly valid to have 0 as a frequency. 2. I have 4 2s. 1, 2, 3 3s, 2 4s, 1 5, and nothing above, for a total of 10 pieces of data. Relative frequency. Okay, and if you want to help you remember, you want to put percent in there. 0 out of 10 equals 0%. 4 out of 10 equals 40%. 3 out of 10 equals 30%. 2 out of 10 equals 20%. 1 out of 10 equals 10%. And of course, 0 out of 10, we already did that, is 0%, for a total of 10 on 10, or 100%, or if you were doing it in decimals, 1. Now, what's very important to notice is that what I was using when I was creating these relative frequencies was my frequency numbers. These are the same numbers, if you look at the above example, that I was using, because in the other case, I couldn't use the values because the values were words. In this case, you might think, oh, well, these are numbers, so maybe I'm supposed to use these, but I've put it in red for you to remember you are not supposed to use these values to calculate relative frequency. You are doing relative frequency, so you should be looking only at the frequency values, not the value. Last thing, and this probably should have come at the beginning, but a table of values and a frequency table is the exact same thing. You don't always have to have a tally column, but generally you have the value, the frequency, and the relative frequency, so some people call it a frequency table.